you have to be violent. And
happening now on The Alternative Digital. Happening now on The Alternative Digital.
Uganda better. I wanted to share the alternative. No, it's okay. My phone is there on the yes. I will do English, but if there is someone who wants to do Uganda, I have no problem.
It's not fluent enough for a release.
But since we're saying we want this to be faceless, should we remove the local so that they don't come? So that they don't track us down. Okay. I think they are set.
Is that the final one? Okay, so there's a, where is that curtained or curtailed? Good. That's an error in the first one.
Just leave it, let it flow until the very end. Just like you normally do when you are going to the TV studio.
I want to consult this first.
Let's pull them now. Otherwise, that will come to us.
This is the same as that copy?
So are we ready to go? I'm waiting for the signal from them.
Are we live?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Are we live on Are we live on TikTok?
Yeah.
Are we live on Action?
One day.
Fellow countrymen and women, on this 19th day of February 2021, we university students leaders in Uganda have gathered here to brainstorm ideas on how to revive the spirit of activism in universities across the region. We know that historically student movements have provided the training ground for the next crop of leaders and activists across the East African region. And today, as students, we want to acknowledge that Uganda is experiencing a rise in restrictions on civic space, mainly manifested through enactment of retrogressive legislations targeting civic activism, e.g. Regulation 61D of Makerere University Students' Regulations, the Public Order Management Act, the Police Act, etc., and violent crackdown on demonstrations and threat of intimidation on people. Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed the crackdown against civil society. including university student movements, youth movements, and political formations in Uganda in a military takeover. The state has on many occasions targeted student leaders who always mobilize their colleagues to stand for their rights. A case in point is the 2019 Fees Must Fall campaign, where most leaders, student leaders, and activists who were mobilizing their colleagues stand and peacefully march to the Vice Chancellor's office were arrested and beaten, and some of our students were expelled and have since then left with bruises outside the country. The powers of these administrators who suspend students need to be curtailed, and students must be protected. We have constantly witnessed students being beaten, harassed, intimidated, and arrested. A case in point is the Musiri David and many others out there who were beaten and permanently disabled. We have also noticed, with a lot of concern, universities being captured through the university administration leadership, military deployment at the universities to quell any student uprising, and we condemn this in the strongest terms possible because we strongly believe that students, like any other Ugandans, have got the right to demonstrate that is inalienable and is protected by the Constitution of Uganda. We condemn the state use of measures and restrictions to curtail the work of student movements and activists and human rights defenders in Uganda. We know that if we unite together as a students movement, with all our leaders, we shall mobilize and organize ourselves into critical and give constructive criticism to bad leadership and governance in the different countries, but also provide leadership and alternative policies on how concerns and institutions need to be managed. As a student movement in this country or in this region, we are not just coming out for purposes of criticizing, but we regard ourselves as a body of intellectuals that can as well generate alternative policy views and alternative policy positions that can advise and inform government on the next course of action. As students today, we arise with our leaders and recommit ourselves to speak out. We shall remain a force to reckon with. We ask students all over the country of Uganda and in East Africa generally to speak truth to power, identify issues and speak and act about them. We also encourage them to do individual journalism, identify an injustice, capture evidence, and share widely. We call upon the media to help in publication and broadcasting of these injustices that happen on students and people generally across there in the communities that where you come from. Colleagues in the legal fraternity, we call upon you and other actors to provide pro bono legal services to the students, because many a time, whenever we have activities, students are arrested, and it is very costly to secure even court police bond for these students. So we call upon good-hearted well-wishers within the legal fraternity and other related stakeholders to always come forward and offer protection by way of legal service to these students and activists that find themselves in these challenges. We call upon the civil society generally and the donor community to avail resources, both financial, technical, and moral, to the students' movements. We call upon other actors, including parents, universities, religious leaders, advocates, and general public to give moral support, guidance, and stand with us as we embark on this campaign. We would like, as student leaders in this country, we pledge to our countrymen and women that we shall remain a voice and we shall continue to stand out and where need be offer both alternative leadership and policies to ensure that our countries and our region is run better. We thank you for God and my country.
Society in Uganda. Help me with that, please.
Can you translate as you speak?
Just a moment. Did you start by introducing yourself? Did you? Ffe ng'abayizi aba Uganda tusazeewo olunaku olwaleero era nga tukimanyi nti kuva dda abayizi ab'amatendekero naddala aga waggulu be babadde batandika enkyukakyuka mu mawanga ag'enjawulo. Abayizi ab'amatendekero gano be babadde batandika enkyukakyuka mu East Africa. Era ffe leero ng'abayizi twagala okuyimusa eddoboozi okutegeeza nti tukitegeera era tukiraba nti nno tetukyayina ddembe ng'abayizi okwongeza eddoboozi lyaffe ne tugezaako okuwabula ebitali bituufu mu bintu ebiri mu ggwanga lyaffe oba ebiri mu matendekero gaffe oba ebitwetoolodde. Era nga tulabye nti abavaayo okubeera nti bayimusa amaloboozi gaabwe basibiddwa, bakubiddwa, babaleeseko obuvune obw'amaanyi. Tulaba mu Fees Must Fall strike waliwo abaana nga Musiri David n'abalala bangi baakubwa ne babeera nga balina obuvune paka kati ekitali kituufu, era nga tuvuddeyo leero nga tugamba nti ebintu bino tubiraba era nga tetugenda kusirika. Tugenda kuvaayo twogere ne gavumenti, twogere ne ba administrators baffe, twogere n'abantu bonna abakwatibwako, tulabe nti tufuna engeri y'okukendeeza ebintu bino ebitali bituufu. Tugenda kutetenkanya, tugenda kwogeramu nammwe, tugenda kulaba, tugenda kuyiiya engeri endala oba engeri endala ennungi gye tuyinza okufugibwamu ffe ngaffe gye tuwulira nti yeeyinza okutusanyusa ng'egenda kukolagana nammwe kye mwagala. Tulabye abaana ab'amayunivasite nga babuzibwawo. Tulabye abaana amayunivasite nga bakubibwa amagye nga gakuba abayizi nga bayingira gye beebaka ne babakuba. Naye ffe tusazeewo ng'abayizi nti tugenda kubeera twekuŋŋaanya, tuveeyo tuvumirire ebintu bino, tetugenda kusirika nga tulaba ebintu bigenda mu bukyamu. Era tusaba abayizi bonna abali eyo, bw'olaba ekintu kyonna nga tekiri mu butuufu, vaayo, funa engeri gy'okikwatamu, beera munnamawulire, kiteeke buli wamu abantu bakirabe. Era tusaba ne bannamawulire mwenna gye muli, muveeyo mulabe nga mutuyambako okwexposinga ebintu bino ebiri okutuukawo, nga mutuyambako okulaga eggwanga ki kyennyini ekigenda mu maaso. Tusaba bannamateeka ab'enjawulo bonna okuvaayo okuyamba abayizi abavuddeyo okwogera, abavuddeyo okuggyayo amaloboozi gaabwe ku bintu ebitali bituufu. Bannamateeka tubasaba obuyambi, babeera basobola okutuyamba mu ngeri ya legal aid. Olumu tubeera twetaaga bannamateeka nga abaana basibiddwa. Tusaba bannamateeka mwenna gye muli, ab'ebibiina eby'abannakyewa, buli omu gwe kikwatako, tukusaba otweyungeko ng'abayizi, tuveeyo tulwane, tumakinge sure nti tubeera mu ggwanga eddungi. Mu ngeri y'emu tusaba abazadde baffe, ab'ebyobufuzi, ab'amasomero gennyini ne gavumenti yennyini, nga watadde ne buli muntu wali mu Uganda, aveeyo atuwabule we twetaaga okuwabulwa, atusapootinge mu ngeri yonna yonna gy'asobola otusapootingamu nga tulwanirira ekintu kino ku lwa Katonda n'eggwanga lyange. I think you'd be the best one for that.
My name is Claudia, that's what I work for. That's a network. Yeah, I want to know why we decided to come out now, and if there are any recent injustices or abductions among yourselves that have happened recently with this election exercise, an analysis of it, how it has been.
Thank you very much. First of all, I note that I didn't introduce myself from the beginning, but my name is Moses Byamugisha. In this capacity, speaking as the guild president of the Maite Road Development Center. This activity and this particular press statement is informed by many factors, comes from a large background. First of all, as you note, we are here to brainstorm on how to put our ideas together on how to revive the vibrance of students, to revive the vibrance of students within the students' movement, given the fact that it forms the history of our country. But also, most importantly, the recent events in our country, like the abductions you are talking about. Every abduction that you hear of is of a young lady, of a young person, who most likely is a student somewhere, or is supporting a student somewhere. The attack on journalists, some of them are actually students doing journalism on various institutions, but also working with those organizations, either as interns or employees. And so those things have concerned us. But also considering the fact that we are in a period where the state infrastructure has effectively clamped down on other forms of voicing out. You can't demonstrate now, you can't hold a placard, you can't hold anything. So in the meantime, a press conference is a good alternative. And so, like I said, those are some of the reasons that have informed this particular activity. But also, this is not just an event, it's a planning event that is intended to inform us on how we can move forward. How do we ensure that such activities can happen in many parts of the country and across the region? Thank you.
Yes, We've seen several movements across the globe, especially in Africa, which have been penetrated with the state and compromised infiltration. What are the strategies that you, as university movements across East Africa, use to see that you overcome such challenges? I've seen several movements collapse and fail to succeed.
Thank you very much. I think, for me, what stands out as a unique difference with this particular initiative is that, first of all, it is not necessarily a project of the students, but there are very many stakeholders. We have the civil society involved, and civil society coming in different formations. Those that are youth organizations, those that are organizations that support youth organizations, and then the students. So the students are just one of the players in this initiative. And so I think that the initiative, the campaign, is buttressed on a very, very solid ground that we will be able to target our end objective. Secondly, as you notice, this is an initiative that is supposed to cover the sub-region of East Africa, actually, to start with Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. So if there were to be students who get compromised along the way in Kenya, the students' movement in Uganda would proceed. if there were students in Uganda that get challenges, the students' movement in Tanzania would proceed, and then the one of Uganda would be able to revive. So I think the initiative is buttressed on a very solid ground. It has got very many stakeholders, and so it should be able to stand the test of time. Thirdly, the particular individuals involved in this initiative have a high profile, people whom we think have got a name to protect. Thank you.
I can add to that issue.
Yes, let my sister add on.
It's also important for us to note that this is not buttressed on, it's not anchored only by the students. It's not just a student issue. The things that we're going to be addressing with these student movements are community issues, are developmental issues. We are building nations. We want to be a part of a future that we have actively participated in shaping. And that is why it is the fact that it is beyond us, we are thinking outside ourselves and beyond the moment, means that it is able to overcome most of the hindrances that come with personalities. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I would like to know what hit the spirit of activism among students, and how exactly, in particular, how are you going to revive that spirit?
Okay. I wanted.
I think, do you want to start?
I'll give you the of each. Okay,
Oh,
okay.
So I think I can. Let's do a quick one on that one. I think one of the most crucial issues that has hit student activism is the lack of knowledge. See, we only know the things that concern us in the moment. We are only concerned about the things in our environment, concerned with our courseworks, concerned with just really the small things, and we have failed to equip ourselves with knowledge. We have limited our exposure and limited our experiences to only what we can see. It's very important for one of the things that is going to be very vital in this revival is knowledge as a crucial piece of the activism. You cannot be woke without being read. You cannot know what to speak about when you have not really investigated and gone ahead to know what really matters. Knowledge is power, but only when that knowledge is wide enough to be relevant. Yes.
Thank you. Maybe to add on what my colleague has just said, the problem most of the students have got is we have interested ourselves in some things that don't concern us at the time. We see it happen to other people, but we ignore them since we are not affected at the time. But the moment we learn that whatever happens to a colleague or to a friend will at one time happen to you, maybe I think this is why we come up at this time to unite and maybe inform the rest of the people, but also join this cause so that we can maybe prevent something that are preventable at the time before they happen to us and to other people in our universities.
Yeah, okay. Can I have the questions again, please? Yes, that's what I'm going to do in Uganda. Can I have the questions, please? Fenga abayizi kino ekintu tetugenda kikolanga abayizi fekka guno omulundi. Tugenda kikolanga abayizi aba Uganda, abayizi aba Kenya, abayizi aba Tanzania. Tulina abantu ab'enjawulo, ebitongole ebyenjawulo, si bya Uganda yokka, naye okuva mu bitundu ebyenjawulo. ebigenda okulwana naffe, ebituzuukusizza ne tulaba nti kino ekintu tulina okukizuukusa. Tulabye nti ebintu ebiri okutuuka ku bantu abalala naffe bisobola okututuukako. Biyinza okuba nga tebiri kutuuka ku bayizi essaawa eno, naye essaawa yonna bigenda kututuukako ffe ng'abayizi. Naye ne bano abantu be bituuseeko, bannamawulire abakubiddwa, abamu babadde bayizi, abalala wadde nga si bayizi naye ng'alina omuyizi gwaweerera, alina omuyizi gwawanirira. So oluvannyuma wa buli kimu ffe abayizi tu endinga up nga tukwatiddwako. Kino ekintu tugenda kukyongeramu amaanyi era tetukisuubira kugwa, kubanga ku guno omulundi tusazeewo nga tetunnaba kuyingira mu kino ekintu tusooke tufune amagezi. Tufunye engeri gye tugenda ofunamu amagezi ng'abayizi. Bano abantu ab'enjawulo oba ebitongole eby'enjawulo ebituyamba bigenda kujjamu bituwe ku magezi engeri y'okukwatamu ekintu kino, so that tetukiyingiramu nga tetumanyi ki kye tukola, era bwe tutyo tugenda okukisigaza nga kyakapaka. Omuganda agamba agali awamu. Ku guno omulundi tetukola nga bayizi ba Uganda ffekka. Gavumenti bw'esalawo oba kyonna kyonna ekitongole bwe kisalawo nti kiyingidde abayizi ne kibagula oba ne kiboonoona, omuyizi w'e Uganda aguliddwa ssente zonna ezimuguliddwa oba ekintu kyonna kyonna ekimuguliddwa, si y'omu n'ow'e Kenya. Ensonga bw'eba ekwata ku Uganda, omuyizi ow'e Kenya n'avaayo n'agamba nti kino tekikirizibwa ekiri e Uganda. Ensonga eri e Kenya, omuyizi ow'e Uganda n'avaayo n'agamba kino tekikirizibwa ekiri e Kenya. Ne Tanzania bwe kityo. Omuyizi ow'e Uganda ne bw'anaggibwawo, ow'e Kenya agenda kusigala ayimiridde. Ate si ky'abayizi bokka, tulina ebitongole eby'enjawulo bye tukola nabyo, era nga bino ebitongole birina amannya ag'okkuuma, tebigenda kukkiriza kuyitibwamu kitongole kirala kyonna kyonna ekiyinza okwagala okubasuula. Alex Semmambo, ndi muyizi e Makerere, nsoma mateeka.
My name is Anita Komjisha, Barrow University of Science and Technology.
My name is Tumsime Kato, LDC, Barara branch.
Happening now on The Alternative Digital.